What's your name?
Princess Diana.
Yes. So, where are you from?
All over.
Explain.
My dad is in the military, so
Oh.
we moved around a lot.
You're a military brat. Mm-hmm. So explain your childhood. What was it like?
I think a lot of it was like avoidant. It's like it's funny that I try to think about my childhood, but I didn't. It's not what everyone else has had, like, because we moved around so often that like, I remember always being in the moment. So it's not like the social interactions that I had or the awkward situations that I had as a kid, because I didn't have any like socialization because we moved around so much. So I really didn't have like a lot of friends or a lot of like, I didn't have like any genuine connections most of my life. I feel like I was kind of like autistic in a sense like most of my life, because I just literally have not been around people like that. Like, I learned how to like appear like a normal person, but like I didn't get a lot of stuff either, and like it took me a long time to figure it out. And I think even in my adult years, some of that stuff is still there, and people will like judge me or look at me funny because I'm not fully like adjusted like that. Although a lot less. I'm not like a crazy person, and I did like therapy for many years, but still sometimes I just think like, man, childhood is fucking weird.
So is that what you went to therapy for, your childhood?
Well, I mean, we talked about a lot of things, but childhood is definitely one of the bigger things that I ended up talking about for sure. That's I think formative times of your life where you begin to make your first impressions about the things that you believe in and your experiences and whatever. That's really important. It wasn't like I never had a childhood. My childhood just like pushed itself back. So in many ways, I feel like I am a 30-year-old person, but in many ways I feel often like I'm masquerading. Like I have like imposter syndrome where I'm like, am I doing this right? And I think I'm doing really, really well, relatively speaking. But there's plenty of times where I also feel like, holy shit, I might be stupid. I might be doing something incredibly dumb right now, and I don't know that I'm doing it. Yeah.
So what is your sexuality?
It's like, so I got like raped when I was 14, about like 13, 14. And when that happened, I was like 13 or 14. Yeah, when that happened, it just like sex just for me took on like different meanings, and it just became something completely different, where it was something that I didn't really have a definition for, you know what I mean? Like that early on in my sexual, like, that's like when it happened for me. Like that's how early on that it happened for me, where I was like, holy shit, wait, like I don't even have formative ideas about these things that are going on yet. So with that being the case, moving forward, I don't have the same type of relationship with sexuality that a lot of people do. I feel like for me it's like, yeah, I don't really care about it. I could give or take whatever happens, and I'm not fussed either way. So yeah, I guess asexual is what I've come to start saying, like as of the last 2 weeks. But the more that I looked into it, I'm like, damn, this might have been, I'm open to my shit changing. I think a lot of people knew me as a man for many years of my life, and I've also had my own trauma with like gender dysphoria, that I feel like this time of self-discovery is so chaotic. I am reluctant to say that anything, like, I can't give a straight answer to anything at this point, just because shit happens to be changing so quickly. But yeah, I guess asexuality then, because it really doesn't do anything for me.
So what do you identify as?
Asexual, maybe. Asexual, trans feminine. I think right now, like, if I had to give all my pronouns and stuff, like, what would be the easiest way to think of who I am? I guess,
Exactly.
yeah, like, there's too many words to say to explain how it feels like. Like, definitely a woman, but also maybe definitely not having a gender either. But if there was going to be a gender, it would definitely not.
Non-binary.
Yeah. If there was a gender, it wouldn't be male. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I like to think of it as. It's like, it's not going to be a guy. Non-binary, as far as like being trans, it's like, you know, with my feelings about being a man, which is like, okay, masculinity can exist. So masculinity exists. So there is like masculine gender, and gender is also a construct. You know what I mean? When people ask me how I feel about, whatever, like, so what's your like trans identity like to you? I'm like, well, gender is a construct. And with that being in mind, it's like the next words out of my mouth aren't going to be, I am buying into this construct. I love the construct that I'm going into. Like, I've always had feminine energy. I don't know what being a man is, but I know what being a woman is. But even then, I'm like, I think that gender is stupid. So I just also reject all of it at the time by being the non-binary.
How did you realize that, or when?
I think, like, it was something that I already was thinking about for a long time. Like, oh man, I might be something, Like, holy shit, like a journey of self-discovery. When it started to be like, people talk about like, I don't understand why people have such hateful rhetoric about things. If you discovered that you were trans when everybody else did a couple years ago, there is nothing wrong with that. No one is judging anybody, really. Like, so a few years ago when everybody was talking about it was like when I started to really think like, am I allowed to be the person that I've always wanted to be? That's fucking crazy. Like, that's the terms that I thought of. While everybody else was like, oh, people are being trans trending and they're not actually trans people and all this like really weird, like, why are you gatekeeping people's sexual identities and like their gender identities? But yeah, so it was a couple years ago when I was like, I didn't know that I could, what does a trans life look like for me? Now my trans life today looks like me wearing dresses when I so choose. And it also means me like introducing myself as a woman.
How come you don't dress in dresses and stuff like that often now?
Because I don't have that many, actually. I don't have that much clothes, and I'm like giving it all away, So yeah, I don't really have much of anything. But I now have started to get some dresses and stuff, and that's been a blast.
Do you feel like people look at you different?
Oh yeah, but the good thing for me is that in my journey of self-discovery, the tattoos happened first. So I don't look at people at all anyways, because I already know, just by virtue of me having the face tattoos, that people are staring at me. And since I don't want to look at them, it works out for me. It's like, since I'm already getting stared at, it's not really going to make it that much worse if I'm in a dress. Because I'm already a freak. It doesn't get any freakier now. Once you have crossed the Rubicon into real freak territory, then things start getting freaky, basically.
You get a lot of compliments all the time, though, on your tattoos.
Yeah, but it's like, what's nice about that is this also gives me, like, faith in humanity whenever I get those compliments. A little bit, because it's like, I know that everybody is looking. Not everybody, but I know that a lot of people are looking. If you notice me, you're probably going to stare. A lot of people be staring at your girl. I'm not saying this because I have a big head. I do get a lot of stares. If you're staring at, because everybody's staring at me already, but so many people say nice things. So it's nice to know that, like, I'm getting stared at, yes, but also a lot of people are going to be really nice to me about it. So it's like, wow, that's nice that so many people feel compelled to reach out and say something not nasty, but they actually reach out and say something nice. That's so nice. My mom's like, people lie. Nobody actually likes the way you look. Nobody actually likes you. And I'm like, you know what? I have to deal with so much nastiness from people day in and day out that I do know what is genuine from people. When somebody says something nice to me and mean it, they mean it versus like, and I'll say it, people are really, really friendly. Friendlier than most people would think.
So how do your parents feel about everything?
They don't like anything.
They don't like anything.
They don't like, anything. Anything that I do. But it's okay because you know what? Who I am and what I turned into and everything that happened for a reason, and I'm happy with the outcome. I think that the outcome is the best outcome. I'm really, really stoked about it. Because the more that I talk to them and I realize what's important to your parents doesn't have to be important to you. People need to learn that. Just because your mom and dad want X, Y, Z, that's for them, dog. You're the one, like, that's why you don't listen to people for a number of different things. You don't listen to, you gotta decide a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, if people are gonna shit talk, like, your decisions, or they're gonna shit talk who you are romantically, involved with, they're not fucking them. They'll never fuck them. So
right.
Why even care what the fuck they have to say? Fuck it. Fuck your opinion, dog. You don't have to deal with that shit. The outcomes or yada yada. Like, how many times my parents have been like, I love that girl for you. And then she was like the most abusive one.
No way.
And they're like, I have a feeling about certain partners of yours. I'm like, yeah, you seem to pick out the worst ones. And you love them. It's weird.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's fucking weird. And that's like, yeah, do parents like, I think that parents are very, very well-meaning. They can be, not like all the time that they are, but they can be well-meaning. And they worry, and that's understandable. But at the end of the day, you're gonna fuck who you're fucking. You're gonna work where you're working. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Don't let people make those decisions for you, because you're the one who's paying for all that shit at the end of the day. Fuck that. This life is so short.
So what would you tell other people in your shoes? Or before they even discover themselves,
What would I tell other people? I would tell them, to anybody that I would meet right now, I would probably tell them all the same thing. I would tell everybody that things are going to be all right. Everybody needs to hear that. No matter who you are, what walk of life you come from, everybody needs to hear that it's going to be all right, which it is. Even though people act like they don't need to hear that, they do. Everything's going to be all right, and that help will always be there for those who ask for it, which is it's really, really hokey. I think that's actually a Dumbledore quote. But it's like, if shit ever gets really, really, really bad, you can always count that it's gonna get better, and if you need help from somebody or from the universe, the powers that be, that if you have your eyes open to that, like, that is so important. It's like, help. And it could be in the form of money, it could be in the form of knowledge, it could be in the form of anything, but like, that the good is always going to be there. That if you go into any situation looking for something good, there's gonna be something there for you. You know what I mean? Like fucking Legend of Zelda or Spyro, there's going to be an easily broken pot filled with jewels or gold or treasure. That, figuratively, obviously not literally, but like, there is something for you. All you have to do is open your fucking eyes and look for it. But there is something good for everybody.